Good to see you. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the self-sabotaging process, and we're going to work specifically with the saboteur, him or herself or itself, that gets in our way in life and in specific areas. So in order to work with that energy, we'll do a visualization, and we'll also do some processing work, and then we'll work with turning that energy around and turning that energy into a place of empowerment, a way for empowerment in our own energy and in terms of going forward and having vision. Because very often we might have very lofty dreams and ideals and visions and ideas of where we want to go, but there's a drain of energy that takes us out of that center, and that makes us difficult for us to generate enough energy and power in order to move forward and to live according to our vision. So we're going to start off with 20 breaths and a visualization. Then we'll go into our processing and talk after, and then we'll do another process at the end in order to tie it all together and to take that into the journey of building our own light. So let's just close our eyes, and we'll do 4 short breaths, then 1 long breath times 4. So let's do 4 short breaths. And then 5 more. Now just keep your eyes closed. Just stay in a place of centeredness, where you just allow yourself to settle into your body. And this makes space for your body to talk, for your body to open not only to the information within the body, maybe just other intuitive energy information that the body might be picking up. Make space for that. In ways that you can trust your body's wisdom, in ways that you can trust what your body has to say. And now connect to your emotions, the emotions of the last while, the prominent ones that are perhaps just there below the surface, that want expression, but maybe you don't have time for them sometimes, or maybe they just haven't caught your attention up until now. So just see what's there, what the emotions want to say, what they want to express. But for now, just take a long, deep breath and let them go. Now clear your mind. Let go of thoughts, worries, doubts, preoccupations. Just feel very safe here, in the now, in this moment. Feel very comfortable here. Comfortable enough to really surrender and let go. Comfortable enough to go a whole lot deeper. Comfortable enough to see the good with the bad, the light with the shadow, just knowing that you're safe. And And in this space of comfort, of safety, of protection, you just start to expand your awareness deeper inwards, deeper into yourself, into your consciousness, into your subconscious. And as you go deeper, you also connect to your soul which is your protector, your soul which connects you to your deepest and highest knowing. So maybe now you just feel this soul as a tingle of energy, a lightness, a freshness, a openness. Feel held, carried, lifted by your soul. And that feels good. That allows you to experience that dimension of yourself that's beyond your ego, that's beyond the day-to-day, beyond the humdrum. Good. And as you expand even further inwardly, you just get a sense of your life, where you are in your life now, and just check in with yourself and with your soul and get a sense of where and how your life is working, the parts that are flowing, perhaps some of the doors that have been opening. This could be in your work or relationships. This could be in your spiritual growth, your sense of self. It could be in your health and body. Just get a sense of where things are flowing, where life is showing you that you're on the right track. And just congratulate yourself here, celebrate yourself. Perhaps you even get a sense of some of the hard work you've put in to make this happen. Perhaps you get a sense of the stuff that you've done right to get to this point. So acknowledging your successes. And in this same approach of self-awareness, self-analysis, become aware of the areas that are not flowing, perhaps where you feel stuck, where you're just not moving forward, where resistance or upset or anxiety or depression or fear comes up in your life. Look at those now. Get a feeling of the energy that those areas of your life give off. So you might start to feel this as a series of emotions, or maybe it feels like a presence. Maybe it's got a color or a sound associated with it. Good. And I want you to focus even more into this resistance, the stuckness where things aren't flowing. And perhaps you begin to see and realize the ways in which there is actually self-sabotage in your life, where you are getting in your own way or getting in God's way, where there's actually a part of you that's stopping yourself from experiencing the full love of the divine, from experiencing your fullest self-expression. So perhaps you start to see this as a sub-personality, your saboteur, that part of you that just doesn't want you to succeed, that for whatever reason wants to keep you small, or wants to keep you in certain habits, or wants to keep you within some uncomfortable comfort zone. Your saboteur, that's the you, part of you, that doesn't believe in your vision, that doesn't believe in the divine fully, that doesn't even perhaps believe in your soul or a bigger plan. And just remember that in seeing and acknowledging the saboteur now, you're not giving them power, you're not going to make them manifest more problems in your life. You're just seeing what's there and getting more information, and in so doing, perhaps seeing which areas of your life they're getting in your way, or how they get in your way. Maybe it's only certain areas of your life. Otherwise, they could be a deeper pattern of not allowing love, or not allowing abundance, or not allowing success, or not allowing yourself to be seen, not allowing satisfaction. So, start to see the ways in which the saboteur expresses. And now, start to see if there's a symbol or an image that's associated with a saboteur, or maybe it's a sound or a color or something more abstract. So, let the saboteur show itself in a different way, despite the fact that it's got an effect in your life, that it plays out in your life. See it now. See where it hides, where it shows itself in your life. And in this way it becomes clearer. Its appearance may change during this journey. Let it show itself more. Perhaps now it becomes like an animal, or almost like a beast, or kind of looks similar to you but is different in some significant way. Maybe it's you wearing a particular expression, a hostile or a depressed or an anxious expression. Or maybe it's a past you, a younger you. See this saboteur now as a sub-personality, and just feel now that you're sitting with it, and in fact visualize it sitting in front of you, opposite you. And now just ask your saboteur why it needs to sabotage you. Why does it need to get in the way of your higher potential? Why do you have to remain in a particular uncomfortable comfort zone? Why does this saboteur need to be in your life? Maybe it thinks, or a part of you thinks, it's needed to protect you. Or maybe that's just all you've ever known. Or maybe you've never seen it and weren't even aware of it. Why is it there? So, sitting with it, giving it space to express itself. This might bring up emotions in you, either peace or elation, because you're seeing and understanding yourself better, or maybe what comes up is fear or pain. The obvious question is, why would anyone want to do this to themselves? But self-sabotage is very common. So just observe whatever's coming up as you sit opposite your saboteur. Just let it be, let it express whatever else it needs to say. And just receive. Listen, feel, sense. And in this presence of your saboteur now, perhaps you become aware of what it is that you want to create in your life. Maybe there's a vision you want to manifest, transformation you want to invite, change you want to call in. Now just tell your saboteur, this is what I want to do. This is my vision, this is what I want to create. This is important to me in my growth now. Give yourself time to feel those areas of your vision. And now allow your saboteur to react. Why does your saboteur disagree? Why is it going to get in the way? Or why is it going to put a stop to the stuff that you want to create? How does the saboteur feel about all of this change, transformation? Observe this reaction of your saboteur, and at this point, once again, with consciousness, call in your soul. Remember, your soul is there to protect you and to hold you. Your soul is there to strengthen. And as you call in your soul even more, remember you're an aspect of your soul. Your saboteur is an aspect of you and your soul. Saboteur has a purpose. It's not just because you're bad or not good enough. There's a lesson. So ask your soul now, what is the lesson of this saboteur in my life? Why does it need to be here? Perhaps you just have a knowing sense from your soul coming from within and all around you. Deep within or from above, why the saboteur is here. And as your soul communicates with you in this way, it's also communicating with the saboteur, because you're all so very interconnected. So your soul's reaction touches the saboteur as well. Maybe the saboteur reacts by being defensive or angry, or maybe it can relent, listen, understand, see from a different perspective, allow. And ultimately the soul is light and the soul is love. Let your saboteur see and experience this love. Good. We're going to revisit this space a little bit later today. So let's leave it here. Perhaps just give your saboteur the chance to say anything it needs to say. Maybe your soul has something to add. And now, just take a long deep breath. Gently open your eyes. Be back. Good. So now we're just going to take a little bit of time to draw what came up for you. So maybe you just want to give your saboteur a face or a color or a few words to describe it. Maybe just write down a few ideas about where you sabotage yourself or you get in your own way. We're working with that energy of the negative ego tripping us up. And then we'll take it back to the visualization later. So maybe your saboteur even has an appearance. Maybe you just want to write about or jot down a few notes about the areas of your life in which the saboteur gets in your way. And linked to that, maybe you just want to write down or draw the parts of your life where your life is working, where it is flowing, and where it is not flowing, where the saboteur is directly affecting you. And then beyond that, what is your vision ahead? Where do you want your life to go? Maybe some of the ways in which your saboteur gets in the way there. Good. So the most important thing here is just to get a sense of where the saboteur works in your life, how it works, what it does, what it resists. And then later on we're going to work with making peace with that aspect of self that gets in the way. So we'll just draw a few cards now, just to get some further information about what's happening in our lives at this time, maybe for today and for the next few days. So the card that comes up here is Rhea, and she is an earth goddess. She's the goddess of the environment. And generally speaking, her message is about having time in nature, being aware of the environment around us, and spending the time to kind of better the environment directly around us. So that might be your garden, or it might be your neighborhood, or it might be a piece of nature, park, forest close by that you can go to and somehow contribute to, or even make some sort of offering or do something energetically to improve that space. It's about developing a relationship with the plants, the animals around us, And in an ideal situation, it's even saying, try and get away a little bit, try and get out of the city or your normal life in order to have a little bit of time in another space closer to nature so that you can connect. And of course, related to today's theme, which is about the negative ego and building our own light, connecting to the environment is one of the ways to really get back in touch with nature out there, but also getting in touch with our own inner nature. And usually when we're in the city, like one part is activated and grows and feels strong, and another part is deflated and unbalanced and fatigued and tired and worn out. So when we get back into nature, we kind of have the opportunity to reset within the context of these kind of pure, natural, prana-filled energies. So all the ways in which we might be distorted personally can then find a natural balance so that we can not only be fed health-wise in the body, but in so doing, we then can find the balance between the body, mind, emotions, spirit, so that we can then go back into our lives and kind of radiate the best of ourselves. And I think that's kind of a good starting point also for our theme today. The saboteur on one hand, but on the other hand, when we live a distorted life, and usually living in the city or just living with our own heads, living with our own bad habits, living with the habits of emotion, the habits of thought, we create certain imbalances. We have certain predispositions in ourselves as to how we function in the world. And as we try to grow, these areas of constriction get more intense or stronger, or we feel the restriction more keenly. So then, whereas maybe 10 years ago, when you were in a particular place in your life, you let's say as an ego or as a person of experience were a whole lot smaller, and those restrictions didn't feel as if they were getting in the way of your being. But now, with more experience and more transformation and more growth, those previous restrictions that were this size, let's say, start to constrict you here and make you smaller here. So then, of course, the time comes to let go of those restrictions or reevaluate them so that we can keep growing and transforming, of course. And this negative ego relates to the ways in which we've really held onto these restrictions for whatever reason, coming from certain decisions we've made, usually as a result of pain and trauma, usually from childhood. We hold onto the uncomfortable comfort zone because it seemed safe at one stage, and because it seemed safe or good before, if we're not doing the reevaluation work, we kind of hold onto it and we don't take that step towards growth. But that negative ego, that saboteur, is even more. The saboteur is also related, let's say, to a trauma or a pain, but it's actually that voice that says, or your parents' voice or society's voice that said, you can't have more, you can't be more, you're not allowed to have, as an example, you can't have love and money. You can have love or money, but you can't have both. Or you can't have money and be spiritual. You've got to either be a monk or a nun, or otherwise you've got to be a bad capitalist in the world. And there's no space for the two. These are some of the sort of messages that society gives us. So the self-sabotaging aspect is where a trauma sits and has created restriction, and then the voices of conditioning have told us, or we've told ourselves, that it's good to stay in that place. That for whatever reason, it's safer to be there in that uncomfortable comfort zone than it is to be able to live our vision and live bigger and, live with greater spiritual connection or joy, or to make these visions possible. So that negative ego is actually a punishing self. And very often it will relate to the ways in which we may have been punished in our lives in the past. Either the ways in which, our parents punished us. If you're good in your life, then you deserve to get certain treats. And if you're bad, then, some punishment is going to come in. And even though it's very infantile, we kind of continue to think in these ways. Obviously, as we grow older, we get a sense of conscience, whereas a child might feel okay to hide something or to lie and feel that that's fine and they can get away with it. As we become adults and learn more, we start to develop a sense of a conscience, usually in a healthy context. So when we do certain things that maybe isn't in alignment with our ideal perception of who we are or where we should be, then we unconsciously start to think we should be punished. A simple example is, I'm a spiritual person and therefore I should follow certain ethical rules. And if ever I overstep those ethical rules, I'm no longer allowed to be a good spiritual person. So therefore, I deserve to be punished and I deserve for things to get in my way. So even though it might relate to other areas of our lives, we unconsciously or consciously sometimes punish ourselves because that's just how life is. That's just what we deserve. We don't deserve to grow and expand, or unless if we stay within a very strict repertoire of behavior, then we don't deserve to have all the fruits of the divine, all the fruits of abundance, of all the beauty of this life. So this negative ego might start off as a conditioning process that we learned at a certain stage in our lives, usually childhood and adolescence. But then later on, as we grow, it starts to depend on our behavior, on how deserving we feel. If we stay within the limits that we've set for ourselves or that we believe God has set for us, then we deserve the fruits of life. And if we overstep those, then we deserve to be punished somehow. Often that punishment happens in seemingly unrelated areas of our lives. We might overstep in our work, but then we feel guilty, and that guilt shows itself in our relationships, or it translates as an emotion in ourselves that we don't allow ourselves joy, that we feel we should stay in that place of punishment and we don't allow ourselves, let's say, an expansive growing experience. We hold ourselves in an old place when in fact we should be expanding. Life is already expanding. Life is about conscious expansion. So when we hold ourselves in a comfort zone, an uncomfortable comfort zone, life is already teaching us we should be growing. Life is already taking us beyond, but we're actively keeping those old boundaries in place. And it's those boundaries that are causing us to feel constriction and discomfort and pain. So very often our saboteur is unconscious. We don't see it necessarily until we start to look for it, until we start to realize it's there or observe our lives. Very often after a few circumstances in a particular area of our lives, we start to see where we get in our own way. Very often self-sabotage can happen with money, for example. You have a particularly good month in your business or your work, but then you get an unexpected bill, or your car breaks down and you've got to pay extra money to fix your car, or you get some sort of fine from somewhere. That's the ways in which life is coming in and saying, you don't deserve this extra abundance. We're going to take this away somehow. It might seem as if it's coming from outside, but it relates to that self-sabotaging principle. Of course, the same goes for, for love and relationships, very often related to some sort of payoff. So when we observe life, we often start to see some patterns, and we start to see the ways in which the self-sabotage works. It might be money, it might be love, it might be work success, it might be the ways in which we try and grow. We're just not able to grow. It just never kind of takes off. So one of the first steps of overcoming the self-sabotage and the negative ego is just acknowledging that it's there, first of all, but then seeing where it shows itself in our lives. And the purpose of that visualization we did a moment ago is one of those intuitive ways of starting to see where the self-sabotage comes up. And then, of course, when it does come up again, when we're hoping for something to happen, but it doesn't follow through, that's when we need to really acknowledge the saboteur and find ways of praying or making peace with the saboteur, so that the saboteur can let go of those shackles so that we can grow. And that's what we're going to do in the next visualization, is we're going to do a process of making peace. And the idea of this, of course, is that when a sabotaging instance comes up in your life, that you can actually work with the energy of making peace with that. Another way of overcoming the saboteur is to build our energy, to build our light, which is the other theme of today's session. And the model that I like to use for that is that of a sort of a cocoon of light that surrounds us. And this cocoon is woven or spun of, let's say, a higher frequency light and love, symbolically speaking. That cocoon kind of follows our energy body. It follows the membrane of our aura. That membrane of the aura is kind of where our auric light ends, and we sort of cease to be ourselves. So it's kind of that bubble of who we are. And of course, that aura is physical light on one hand, so it's a physical presence, but it's also the emotional body, it's also the mental body, it's also the spiritual body. That's kind of all contained in that aura. So when we become aware of this cocoon, when we start to work with this cocoon of energy, we are, with consciousness, becoming aware of that membrane that protects our auric space. And that membrane is supposed to, on the one hand, breathe so it can let in the energies that we need for flourishing, for nourishment. So it's a loose enough weave that it can breathe that energy. But at the same time, it's an intelligent membrane in that it knows what to let in and it knows what to block out. So it kind of intelligently, intuitively knows what runs counter to our soul purpose. And our soul being, our soul purpose, represents that inner space within the cocoon. So just as the cocoon is a filter of energy from the outside, it's also a filter for energy from the inside. So the idea of the cocoon is, once that energy is entered, that it can hold that higher frequency light and love, let's say. But by the same token, it can let out the toxins. So again, it's that intelligent weave that can hold and maintain, but on the other hand, can let out the stuff that we no longer want. And that kind of principle of the intelligent membrane is expressed in the breathing process, the conscious breathing process. When we breathe in, we're taking prana energy in, life force energy in, it's feeding us. Then that higher frequency energy that we breathe, or that divine energy that we breathe, might dislodge or sort of wash out the old stagnant energy that we no longer need. The toxins, the waste, it washes it out and gets rid of it. And as we continue that process, bringing in more of the life force energy, getting rid of more of the waste and the toxins. So we actually refill ourselves with this energy. So the idea of building our light is to take that even further, to say, okay, my normal membrane of light might hold a certain frequency of light and love. It might go up to a certain level. But now I, with consciousness, want to raise the level of what this cocoon can hold so that I can let in more light, so I can let in a higher frequency of love or more love. And in so doing, symbolically speaking, that might mean that your aura, your auric space expands, or it might mean that you can hold more energy, more abundance, more love, if those are the intentions that you have in your life. But the idea is to kind of expand what that cocoon can hold as you, with consciousness, raise your frequency. So it starts off in the meditative space, which we'll practice in a moment. But it also is about what you visualize and what you create with your creative visualization faculties. So you're calling in, let's say, a higher frequency of love, or you're calling in more abundance, and that might express itself in your visualized state of making your aura bigger, making what you contain more. You know, the way that you see this or visualize or understand this might be in changing the size of your aura. You know, maybe your aura feels tight and constrictive and you want to kind of make more space for yourself to breathe. Or otherwise it might be that your aura stays at an optimal size, but that you let in higher frequency energy, that you let in a more intense energy of light and love to fill you up and to kind of help you. And this is the purpose of this work, to help you radiate, emanate a new energy so that you can attract more of what it is that you desire. So in terms of this kind of dichotomy between the negative ego on the one hand and on the other hand wanting to build our light, usually that negative ego would somehow express as maybe a hole in your cocoon, or some sort of obstruction or resistance, or something preventing that cocoon of your energy to grow and expand. So the negative ego or saboteur is getting in the way of you filling up that space. It's preventing you from intensifying your light, your love, so that you can attract more. So one of the phases of this process is healing the membrane. You know, maybe the saboteur is a hole in the membrane. So the first step is healing that membrane, you know, putting that membrane back together. And very often, aurically speaking, when we have some sort of shock or some sort of trauma or some sort of intrusion, you know, someone abusing us in some way, or bad lifestyle, bad health, it develops cracks and holes in the aura where energy kind of leaks out. Bad thoughts, bad emotions cause energy to leak out. So when we work with fixing and building this cocoon's membrane, we're doing it through our visualization, but also with the intention of then healing and fixing those emotions or thoughts or past circumstances that have caused that membrane to break down. So we're healing it, we're putting it back together. In so doing, we're kind of dissipating the power that the negative ego or saboteur has in our lives, so that we can become whole and integral within our aura cocoon, and that cocoon can then start to radiate a new energy and therefore attract a new energy in our lives. So in this way, we're kind of building our strength on a consciousness level, on an energetic level, and that will then express in our bodies, or it will express in our lives. So this membrane, this auric energy, can relate to manifestation, but it can also, of course, relate to our health. You know, if there's a health problem that we have, or a health issue that we want to resolve, it also goes back to, just through the intention of the aura, creating the protection that we need, creating the healing life force energy that we need to rebuild our health. Could be an organ, or it could be a general health like having a cold, and then spending enough time with that energy of healing in order for the belief that we're building through, let's say, this visualization, to then manifest into the denser forms of expression that relate to either the physical body or the physical reality. So we'll go into the visualization. So for now, we're just going to close our eyes and we're going to connect back in to the body, just feeling what's happening in the body. And get a sense of your aura now, just as it is. Perhaps it feels tight and restricted, or maybe it feels loose, but the boundaries aren't strong enough. Maybe you feel some ways in which it leaks energy. In some areas, your boundaries, your aura might be too intense, so it blocks things out. In other areas, it might be too loose, so it leaks things out. So from this space now as it is, I want you to call in your saboteur again, and call them in so that they sit or stand opposite you, and feel what energy they bring up. This might be what you felt in the first visualization, or it might just be something that comes up now. What emotions and sensations does the saboteur bring up? And perhaps now you see how the presence of your saboteur influences your aura. Maybe it weakens a different area. Maybe it causes energy to leak out, or maybe it brings up a wall of resistance, or fear, or anxiety. You might see this, or you might feel it energetically, sense it. But as you become more sensitized to this process, take more time to see the boundaries of your aura, your natural aura, that natural bubble of light that surrounds you. And maybe this has got a predominant color. And now, with your saboteur in front of you, I just want you to, starting from your feet up, start weaving a membrane of higher light that creates a new membrane wall, a new container for your aura. And perhaps you see this as a weaving and spinning, starting in your feet, calf, knee area, going up to your thighs and pelvis. It might be working with those fibers of light that are already in existence, or it might be weaving new ones in. And as this weaving action takes place, you just feel how your energy also becomes more present and solid, contained and held. Let this weaving action move up from your lower back and stomach to your upper back and chest. This cocoon is being woven with a higher frequency of light, the light of your intention, the light of your soul. Goes up to your shoulders and neck, now completes itself by going up to your head, to your crown. Just completely close this cocoon of light. Not in the sense that it cannot breathe, but just close the top so it's sealed at the bottom, sealed at the top. And just get a sense of how your auric space feels more contained, how it blocks out the toxins, but it lets in the life-giving prana energy. And you can start to take a few long, deep, conscious breaths, breathing through that auric membrane, breathing in the prana. Maybe just get a sense of how other toxic energies, maybe even toxic energies that you used to let in, but that this membrane now blocks out. Toxic energies from other people or from circumstances that trigger you. Just breathe in. Breathing in the nourishing, feeding, pranic energy. And when you breathe out, you just let go of the old waste from within your cocoon space, the old energies that hold you back, the old energies that you no longer need. Breathe them out of the space of your aura. Breathing in that new, fresh energy from the cosmos, that higher light and love, breathing it in. And anything that is unlike that higher light and love, breathing it out from your auric space. And of course, it stands to reason that in so doing, the light and love that fills your auric space raises in frequency, because you're taking in more of the higher light and letting out more of the lower light. Taking in more of the love on your breath, breathing out more of that which is unlike love on the exhale. So now you just start to feel how your cocoon is not only an intelligent protector, but you also feel how the space within that cocoon feels stronger, more present, more charged with magic. And in raising your frequency in this way, you feel how your soul, your inner voice, your truth is more present with you. And as a result, you can see better, see yourself, see your life better. This is the true you. And in breathing in this way and seeing yourself in this way, not only do you feel strong and healthy, but you feel calm and present emotionally. You feel increasingly loving. And your mind is more addressed because you can trust the divine, trust yourself, trust your soul. So from this space now of greater presence, greater protection, greater vision, just with new eyes, look at your saboteur sitting opposite you. Energetically, those connections that you have had with your saboteur have changed because you're more in your power and presence. So now, make an offering of peace to your saboteur. Ask your saboteur what it needs to settle this peace. Does it need more attention? Does it need you to do something in life, in the world? Does it need you to change habits or take on some new habits? What does your saboteur want from you in order for you to make peace? See how the saboteur shifts and changes. See how it becomes willing to change your relationship. See how within yourself, feeling so much stronger and so much more spiritually energized, you can allow yourself a new relationship with self-sabotage in general. You can give to yourself more. You can receive more of the divine blessings. You no longer need to punish yourself or get in your own way or get in God's way. See and feel and experience how your relationship with your saboteur shifts. See how they change in front of you. And up until now, the lower frequency energy of that saboteur has kept it outside of your cocoon, because your cocoon is radiating a higher frequency, resonating at a higher frequency, becoming a source of light. And now, allow this source of light also to raise the frequency of your saboteur in such a way that your saboteur transforms and changes in appearance, in energy. Perhaps in some way that the saboteur looks like a part of you or feels like a part of you that you've lost or that has been cut off. And now welcome them back. Not as the saboteur, but as a part of your soul that has been lost, or a part of your personality that is split off. Welcome them back into your cocoon. Welcome them in as a prodigal son or daughter, part of you that you once knew, that was once a strength perhaps, that worked against you, and now you're letting it back in. Experience this love, just unconditional love. This energy presence that used to be the saboteur emerges into you and energizes you even further. It's no longer a hole or a crack in your auric cocoon. It's now an asset, a strength. Breathe deep breaths to make this integration more powerful. As you breathe in this way, as you experience this strengthening of your energy, perhaps you notice that the limits, the boundaries of your auric space stretches outward, or it finds its optimal size and extension so that it feels comfortable and safe, yet at the same time that it feels adventurous and open to the new. And remember, that weave of light is intelligent. You don't need to fret about letting too much in or letting too much out. Your soul has got your back. Your soul regulates. As long as your intention is for your highest growth, consciously, your soul will regulate. Now just feel relieved. Feel stronger, more energized, more complete. And just give thanks to your soul. Give thanks to your inner light and love, to this cocoon, to what was once your saboteur, but is now this lost part of you that is reunited with you. And even though aspects of the saboteur may come up again at some point later, it's fine. You have the tools to work with the next layer or the next step of your healing. So feeling complete, feeling that the work is done, you've done enough. Take a last deep breath. And before you open your eyes, just set the intention for the transformation to reflect into your outside world. And when you open your eyes, you see in a new way. The colors seem brighter, the light more intense. Open your eyes. Allow the new way in the new world to be. And of course, you can repeat this exercise as many times as you like in order to grow, in order to become a better version of yourself constantly.